We can still find happiness in stressful environments. We can still find happiness in sad moments, in struggles.
Left with nothing. No house, no money, no car, and no kids.
And you were left with nothing overnight?
If you don't know what you have until it's gone.
Zelmere Viljoen, she lost it all in a brutal divorce.
What was the final straw?
Words that were exchanged.
But instead of breaking, she rebuilt.
When I started to feel that I'm losing bits and pieces of myself, I started to regain it through my business.
And now she runs a thriving wellness business
They realize their employees have to be happy to be more successful.
and takes on some of the toughest endurance races in the world, including triathlons in the Himalayas.
Extremes are a journey.
So one of yours was in the Himalayas,
It was
right?
in the Himalayas, yeah. And I tattooed a little mountain of the Himalayas afterwards.
This is resilience, mindset, and reinvention at its best.
Where did it all go wrong?
But I remember getting up and walking away and feeling absolutely nothing.
Why do you think people are not happy?
I think judgment shuts down a lot of channels of happiness for people. When somebody is constantly disappointed in you, you stop growing. When I'm training, it's really like my therapy. There was just this hunger inside of me to get back to it. I don't feel enough that individuals cultivate the happiness from inside.
Hey, Matt here, just interrupting myself to say, can you believe that 62% of listeners to this podcast don't actually subscribe? Now, I know you like it because you listen to it, you come back and the stats are great, but 62% of you don't actually subscribe. So make sure you subscribe, whether that's on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, wherever you listen to your content or watch your content, and make sure that you never miss a future episode.
Guys, Matt Haycox here, and welcome to another episode of No Bollocks with me, Matt Haycox. And today we have got Zelmere Viljoen. You know,
That's as close as we
is that
can
as
get.
close as we're getting? I've been practicing saying this for a while. I'm going to try one more time. Zelmere Viljoen. Happy with that? Who is the founder of Soul and Skin Wellness, and this is a woman who has been through it all. From being left with absolutely nothing after a brutal divorce, no money, no house, no car, not even access to her kids. But she picks herself up, she rebuilds her life, and she takes on the toughest triathlons in the world, in the Himalayas quite specifically. And if that doesn't scream resilience, then what does? She's now got a corporate wellness business, and you said some words before we started recording, which I like, which is you teach people to be happier people. So we're going to talk about that because I've got a big thing about happiness and success and how I guess unless you are happy you are not successful, and that unfortunately success is only really measured in material things, which really misses the point of it. But we'll dig deep on that later on. But I guess set the scene and let's talk about the relationship and how that led to where we are today.
Yeah, let's have a chat. Yeah, so before I start, I do want to just highlight that this was my personal experience, and I don't want to stereotype any men, any cultures. This story is true to me. Right?
Sure. Don't worry, I'm one of the good ones.
Yeah. What do you want to know? Where did we start?
Where did it all go wrong?
When I started to feel that I am losing myself in the relationship, and I don't speak for all women, but I do think that happens a lot, that women start to give themselves so much to their husbands. They start to follow the path of the husband, and when I started having kids, I started to just throw myself into the kids, and I understood the culture that I married into, but it was a little bit far away from
What nationality
who I am.
when you say the culture?
Emirati.
Okay.
Yes. I'm South African, and I respect the culture and I love the culture, but I'm still South African, and I'm very, very free-spirited. And there was a lot expected of me, and that's not wrong, but I couldn't fulfill it. I couldn't be that woman that was needed in the household. So when I started to feel that I'm losing bits and pieces of myself, I started to regain it through my business.
And when you say lots were expected of you, what in terms of what looking after the kids, the dinner's on the table,
Yes.
the socks have got to be paired correctly.
The housewife. The housewife you see and all the TV shows, and that's not me because I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy. I love raising my children. I like playing with them, but I don't like I don't enjoy cooking. That's not me. That's not what I feel I could bring to the table. And I was blessed to be in a space where we have help
Kareem.
that could do that for us. Yeah, we have help in the house that could do that for us. And it's such a blessing. And I could see myself creating a household in a different way. But that wasn't who I am. So that was always a little bit of a struggle.
And how long were you married for before the problems started?
I can't pinpoint exactly the exact years when things started. We were married in total for 9 years. And I'd say like the last 4 years was probably the hardest for both of us. Yeah.
What was the final straw? What made the decision to break, to call it a day?
Words that were exchanged that I won't repeat here, but words that were exchanged. And I remember getting up and walking away, and usually I would come and I would fight back, or I try to explain myself, or I'll try to salvage the situation, or again I will bend myself to fit and to mold into these expectations. But I remember getting up and walking away and feeling absolutely nothing. So there was no more anger, there was no sadness, there was no need to change. And I just said, okay, so that's it.
And you agreed to divorce?
We agreed until we didn't. And I think when it became real, maybe it's that concept of you don't know what you have until it's gone. Or maybe it is, oh, I lost control over this person, or I lost control over my hopes. I lost control over my household. Maybe that's what it is. But yeah, then there wasn't an agreement anymore.
And you were left with nothing overnight?
I was. And I would like to say that is something that has changed now. So I do want to highlight that. But if we speak about what I've been through last year, yes, I was. It was.
Last year? Oh, is that recent?
It was 2023 November.
And how did you deal with it? I mean, you woke up one day with no house, no money, no kids.
I think it's that turning point when you wake up and you go, I've lost everything, and you can either choose to fall apart in that moment, or you just go into survival mode where you go, everything is destroyed. So it's like you take a house, right? And you destroy it and demolish it completely. And you can either sit and cry in that rubble, or you can go, okay, now I can take all of these pieces I have, I can sort it out, I can filter it, and I can build something I always wanted. But you need to know it's going to be hard work, and you have to do that from scratch.
And the thing that you were going to build that you'd always wanted, what was that?
So I wanted to get back to my passion, which is racing, and I wanted to really give myself to it in the best way that I can.
So you'd always been a runner. You'd always been doing the.
I've always been a swimmer. I've been an athlete. I've also done triathlons, and I just wanted to there was just this hunger inside of me to get back to it and to spend time preparing for these races. I wanted to create, and I had a beautiful home, right? I had a lovely home. I had lots of help and happiness there, but I wanted to create a space that I want to raise my children in, which is more peaceful, a space which is more calm, a space which is more getting my kids hands on to do things for themselves. So I saw opportunity to do that as well, even though it's small. We start there. And I wanted to bring more focus. I realized I need to bring more focus into growing my business, because this is going to become what keeps me going and what keeps me alive.
Did you have a business at this point?
Yes, I had a business.
And that's the corporate wellness that we're talking about now?
Yeah, so I started this business during the COVID time, really to help other instructors to have a platform to work from. I had the idea, since we went into quarantine, right? So I had this idea to work with a project management company and to appoint a yoga teacher in each community. Meaning if that yoga teacher or fitness facilitator is working in that community, they will not be in contact with anyone outside. So that's how I saw as keeping the business safe, the instructor safe, the client safe. So that's how I started. And it was really like a free platform at first to get others just to find a little bit of mental well-being during that time. For instructors who suddenly didn't have work to have a space to work. And that's how that community grew.
And when you talk about that it's your mission to teach people to be happy, why do you think people are not happy?
I think people's happiness is measured. I think you also mentioned that very briefly. People's happiness is measured in the wrong value. I think they're
meaning financials,
material. They very much look at what is accepted and what is trending right now in the market and what is expected of them through other people. And I don't see and I don't feel enough that individuals cultivate the happiness from inside. And they get very much lost and almost like the tides of an ocean. They just get pulled in different directions. When things go wrong in their life or when it's very stressful, they become super stressed and they become very sad. And the whole life is, going, it's like a shipwreck going under. But we can still find happiness in stressful environments. We can still find happiness in sad moments, in struggles. It's
when do you think the unhappiness starts to creep into people's lives? So I have I've got a couple of kids, but I got an old one back in England, 18, and an 19-month-old baby here, and and I say again.
It's such a gap.
Well,
I love it.
And what I sometimes think about when I see her, the new baby, is she's always smiling from ear to ear, running around, always very happy. Her framing of everything is very simple, and it's all. I mean, listen, when I say she's always happy, she'll pull a face if you don't want to put her TV channel on, or she'll pull a face if you're not going to give her enough chocolate. Yeah. But that is the level of the complexity of her life. Other than that, everything's a giggle, everything's fun. And then I look at me on the other side of the room to her, blowing my brains out about this problem and that problem, and always thinking, God, you're so happy. you don't realize how shit everything really is. And so I guess something happens between that 18 months and that 43 years old. And listen, and I say that somewhat in jest, because I do consider myself in the main a very happy person. I think happiness is a choice. Happiness is a matter of perspective and perception. But whether or not people end up at 43 like me, I don't know. But I think what we can say in the main is that most people at 18, 19 months old are kind of like my baby. Everything's fun, and something changes at some point. I mean, what is that? Where does it all go wrong?
So if we look at this in a physical aspect, neurologically, if we look at this in an energetic level, when you grow up, okay, the brain develop, right? People become more self-conscious of the way that they act, the way that they perceive the world. And especially children and teenagers, they have so much outside influence on who they need to be. I feel like when they're babies, they're mainly with the parents, right? And we parents, we love them unconditionally. And we understand that they need to grow and they need to explore. And we encourage that growth. And we get excited when they do something new, when they achieve something new, and we just love and we just love and we just give love. Even when we're angry with them, we still give them. I feel like they feel they're in a space where we still give them love, right? But when they get into environments, let's say schools, as they now grow a little bit older, they get in environments of schools where they're being judged. I think judgment shuts down a lot of channels of happiness for people. Expectations that they may or may not meet through friends, through teachers, through family members as well. I think we start to shut down happiness maybe even as parents in our children, when we expect them to be too much, or when we have an idea of this ideal vision of who we think our child is going to be, and when they turn out to have different interests and go a different way, some parents accept that. Some parents become really hard on their children and they show a lot of disappointment. Disappointment for me in a person, that's for me the worst feeling. When somebody is constantly disappointed in you, you stop growing because you don't, everything that I am disappoint you. It's a horrible feeling. So if you think of all these changes that happens throughout your life, I'm only at school years right now. What happens when you go to university? What happens when you start, I don't know at what age kids fall in love these days. What happens if you start falling in love?
When
and
I'm thinking about my own kids, hopefully never.
What happens when you start falling in love and you start having heartbreak? And all these building blocks in life, I feel takes away your own sense of happiness. We should be able to, as friends and as family members and as work colleagues, so that's why I like corporate wellness programs, like as work colleagues, we should be able to offer each other love. And I'm not talking about romantic love, right? We should be able to offer each other love in understanding, love in acceptance of each other. Even when we don't agree with someone, we can do that with a sense of love. We don't have to make someone feel like...
Hey, Matt here, just interrupting myself quickly to say thank you for listening to No Bollocks. But did you also know I've got another podcast, Stripping Off with Matt Haycox? Very different. No Bollocks is the quick daily business tactics that you need. But Stripping Off, we go deep, deep, deep with a CEO, with a celebrity, with an athlete, with just an international, inspiring character. We find out what makes them tick, we find out how they got to where they got to, and we find out how you can learn and benefit from them too. So jump on over to Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, wherever you listen to your content, and I'll see you on a future episode.
And in these corporate wellness programs you do, I mean, talk me through it. How does it work, and what kind of a business are you typically dealing with? You know, has that business identified it has a problem, it's got something lacking?
The concept of corporate wellness programs in the UAE are developing right now. People are becoming more and more conscious of it, that they realize their employees have to be happy to be more successful. Okay, it's starting. I wouldn't say that the businesses have an issue, but they either want to jump on board on this trend or they really care and they want their employees to be happier, right?
Yeah.
And make healthier decisions. And in the end of the day, for the business, that's going to have a greater success story because their output in business is going to be better. So the achievements are going to be better. And usually when I start with my corporate wellness programs, I either have a room full of people or I have a hybrid method where I have some people with me in a meeting room and the rest are online. And I usually look at people who looks back at me and I see eyes that has no idea of for me, the simplest things that I'm talking about. And I like that because those are the people that wouldn't usually have time or even the finances to go to a wellness facility or to look after themselves. Or somebody that has no idea that just changing the way that you breathe can change the way that you feel. So our corporate wellness programs are including, I usually break it up in months. So the first month we will be focused on relaxation, different relaxation techniques. So breathing techniques, simple stretches that you can do at the office, for instance, how different food affect different moods. Then we will move over into a month of the importance of sleep. Because most people understand they have to sleep, but they have no idea why. What your body is going through when you sleep, what your brain is working through when you sleep. So we'll explain what sleep means for your body, what sleep means for your emotions, for your decision making. And then we'll move on to balance, let's say. So every month has a topic. So we really work on emotional, mental, and also social.
How often do you go into the companies? How often do you see the staff?
The workshops that I offer is once a week. If they have the facility to do wellness sessions and wellness classes, then we'll go either twice or even 3 times a week. So it will be the workshop which is the main work of the program. And then we'll have these add-ons which they can do. We can add a yoga session a week, or we can add a Pilates session a week.
And it's typically everybody from the C-suite to the middle management, and everybody in there gets stuck in.
Everyone. And I also like that because you see friendships starting to form, and you see that colleagues are starting to have a greater respect towards each other as well. Because we have also these workshops and where we say, okay, share culturally what this means to you. Tell us about your culture, how you do things. And it's very eye-opening for people to start to respect each other more, to understand that we're from different backgrounds.
You get many people, fighting it much. Oh, this is not for me. This is rubbish. This is
in the beginning, yes, in the beginning. I lately sat down and somebody said to me, "What are we doing here?" I said, "Well, we're just gonna have a conversation. We'll find out why you're here. We'll find out why I am here." And now he's one of the ones that ask the most questions.
Yeah. You find you can very much see the change in people,
yes.
See the benefits.
When they start asking questions, when they start becoming part of conversations, that's when I know that there's a change.
And how long do you tend to stay with a business for? I mean, this is a permanent thing, ideally?
Ideally, it's a year contract. That's when we see the most change. Businesses usually sometimes start with 3 or 4 months. I always suggest a year, but we can start, we can work together, and they usually end up extending and renewing. People enjoy it. Yeah.
Let's talk about your triathlons.
Yes.
Where did that come from? Was that always something you were interested in, or was that I guess to take your mind off the problems when you were getting divorced?
Yes, bit of both. I was a professional swimmer when I was young.
Okay.
But I ended
professionals in what, for the country or something?
Yeah, but I ended my career very early. I was burned out completely. And I somehow regret it today, but then I also understand that my life would have been completely different, right? So we shouldn't regret things. I then stopped swimming. I stopped competing. I moved into a different field, which was my yoga, which was a beautiful journey of learning. And I had my 2 daughters in 2017, 2018. And 3 years later, I saw an advert for the World Triathlon Finals in Abu Dhabi, and I said, I want to do it.
You'd never done one before?
I've done triathlons when I was younger. I've done them. And I said, I want to do this. So it just awakened. It just awakened in me. I wanted to change a lot about my lifestyle. I wanted to put my focus somewhere. I wanted to get back to my energy, because really raising 2 little kids, all moms agree. You can say what you want. You don't have energy. If you don't sleep, you don't have energy. And I wanted to get back into it. And I did really well. And it just became something, like you say, that helps me through a lot of struggles. Because
and just for the guys listening or watching, what exactly goes into a triathlon? It's 3 disciplines, right?
It's swimming, cycling, and running.
And running, yeah.
Yes.
And how far?
So now I'm competing in what they call 70.3. That's 112 kilometers was the last one that I did. Yeah.
Okay.
So
is triathlon different to Ironman? Is Ironman just a brand?
Ironman is a brand.
Okay, so it's still
so
the
the
same thing.
Ironman would be double that distance.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you would start with a 3.8 or 3.9 kilometer swim. Some courses are different. You would have a 180 kilometer bike, and then you'll have a marathon, 42 kilometer run. Yes.
Yeah, my friend, he's my friend and personal trainer. He's done a couple of Ironmans this year.
Well done.
or maybe a half and a full. I don't know. He's got himself the Ironman tattoo on his leg now, so he's definitely done enough to deserve that.
Mountain tattoo after my last. I said if I complete this extreme triathlon, so the extreme X-Tri series for me is amazing, because you do it in extreme environments. The way Ironman is usually like quite flat routes, and sometimes you circle.
Yeah.
Extremes are a journey.
So one of yours was in the Himalayas,
It
right?
was in the Himalayas, yeah. So, and I tattooed a little mountain of the Himalayas afterwards, yeah.
How many people did that when you did it?
Not many, like 15, I believe.
Oh, it's very niche.
Yeah, it's more people that signed up, but last minute they pulled out because it's difficult. It's considered it is the highest triathlon in the world, and it's considered the most challenging. So
How long did it take you?
9 hours,
What was the winner?
just around 8 hours. He set a new record. Yeah, amazing.
Wild. But I mean, what's wild, I think, is 9 hours is so fast anyway. But then also the difference between 8 hours and 9 hours.
Yeah,
At that level, when you're already competing at a world class level, for for someone to beat you by 15% or something, it's like unthinkable, isn't it? What?
yeah, and I didn't expect that, and I was first in the ladies section, and then overall, I am battling this. I'm still fighting over this title. So we had the winner, who was amazing. He broke the record. And then second place came in as a tie. So second place was 2 guys. And then they did not give a third medal, and they gave me fourth. And I said, well,
How can they,
technically,
how can they
I am
tie?
third. They came across the line at the same time.
That doesn't sound. But what
Yeah.
after the swim, the cycle,
They did it
the
together.
run? They planted
planned it.
Okay, I was going to
They
say.
entered that race, which is also something that I love, right? That they planned that race together. So if one is slower in the swim, the other one will wait for him. When one is slower in the bike, the other one supports and stay. And that's teamwork and getting each other across that line, and they did it together. I love it.
I just got visions of them talking about it and doing it and planning, and they get
Yeah.
to the finish line, and then one's like, "Fuck you."
Yeah, push you away, trip him, give him a look. Yeah, but they did it together. So
And what was the feeling for you when you'd done it?
I don't know if you saw the post.
No.
The post shows my smile, and I started dancing, and I was just super happy, and I really didn't expect it, and I just wanted to finish. When I went there, I said, I just want to finish, because my first 70.3 that I'm competing in is also the most extreme in the world, so I just want to finish. And I thought during the race, I'm going to break down, and I'm going to have moments where I'm crying, because that happens when I'm training. When I'm training, it's really like my therapy. There's moments where I'm smiling and dancing on my bike or while I'm running, and then all of a sudden I am in tears and I'm working through things through my endurance training. It's like when you're put under such an extreme condition where you're struggling, all the layers of struggle comes out. You start to shed all the layers of struggle, and you start to tap into like your self-confidence and your inner power and your inner strength, and then that starts to rise up again. And I really expected to go through that process during the race, but none of it came. I was just happy.
And it didn't hit you afterwards.
There was this moment where I crossed the line where I feel like a little tear is coming, but it didn't. I don't know if I was very happy or exhausted, but yeah.
What's next? What's the next challenge?
Because I won this one, I am automatically entered in a race called Celtman, which is in Ireland. It's in June. And at first I said, there's no way I do this race, because the water is 8 degrees Celsius.
Like an ice bath.
Full of, yes, it's an ice swimming for half an hour in an ice bath, and it's full of jellyfish. Swarms. Do you call jellyfish swarms? I don't know. Swarms, I guess.
I know what you mean, yeah.
Schools of jellyfish.
Yeah. lots of.
There's hundreds of jellyfish that you might have to swim through and get through. So at first I said, no, there's no way I do this. But now I want to. I changed my mind. I want to.
And what about the other parts, the cycling and the running? Is that extreme as well?
In this Himalayan race, yes, it was.
In
Ireland,
yeah.
They say it's very windy, so you struggle with a lot of wind. But the cycling route is quite like rolling hills. It's not very steep hills like we had in Himalaya, and the run is challenging. Yeah.
And when is that next summer?
That is on the 21st of June on my mom's birthday.
And how do you train for something like that? I mean, you know, I guess you can't do practice triathlons presumably because it's just gonna ruin your body. You have to do what, quarters and halves and just build yourself up.
So I got a coach. She's in Colombia. I train with her online. I try to follow her program as religious as I possibly can.
It sounds a bit cheating though. I'll be talking to my Colombian coach going, yeah, I just did 20K today.
Yeah, no, she tracks me. She can see everything that I do. And the training is different. Some days you get like a 4-hour training and I kind of look at it and go, woman, you are mad. Like, I do not have 4 hours in my day to train. So sometimes it's like a 4-hour training. Sometimes I just do 1 hour of intervals, and I fully trust her. It clearly works. I've noticed 2 weeks ago in the Himalayas that it's working. And you just try to keep it as fun as possible. Yeah, I try to keep it as fun as possible. Yeah, I need to listen to music. I listen sometimes to
Are you allowed to listen to music when you're doing the main event?
So in the world triathlons, like these shorter distance, if I talk about the series called World Triathlon Series, no. Those races are also shorter. We do sprints or we do standard distance, and no, music is not allowed. But in the extreme triathlons, yeah, we're allowed to listen to music.
Yeah, because my friend was saying that you're not allowed to do music in the Ironman.
Ironman is not allowed either,
I mean,
yeah.
I try and run 5K pretty much every day. Obviously,
Yeah.
not comparing it to you, but I just say I try to run 5K.
better.
But I can't run 50 meters without music. Like, I mean, it's more.
Yeah.
I think it's more to do with my lack of concentration than it is to do with my lack of running ability. But I need to. I've got to be listening to that to keep me going. There's no way I could get through that day without having the earphones in.
I used to be like that. I used to think I could never run without music. Nature changes that.
Mm.
Yeah. For me, nature is what changed it. Sometimes I do go into the desert and I start to run with my music, and then I actually switch it off. I don't know if it's because I'm more experienced than running right now, or because I'm out there, either in a mountain or in a desert, or there's something about the stillness of nature that I enjoy listening to. Yeah.
Well, listen, Zelmere, it's been a pleasure having you here.
Thank you.
Tell me, I mean, looking back on your life now and the achievements of late, and I guess everything you've had to endure. What would your message to your younger self be, and what would you do differently?
Wow, to my younger self. You know, people ask me, what would your message be to someone else? And it's easier to answer than if you have to think about what you would tell your younger self.
I'm not giving you the easy
right?
one. We're having the difficult one.
Yeah.
What would you say to yourself?
I would say don't change anything. You know, as difficult as, and I highlighted the divorce again, as difficult as that divorce was, I would still say, like, don't change it, because I've got, like I said, he's my best friend. And I got my daughters from there. So I got these beautiful beings from there, that through that experience, I will tell my younger self that no matter what experience or what hardship you go through, you're going to learn the most beautiful value of life and life lessons out of that experience. And you're going to learn these values and these lessons that you can pass on to your children.
Are you in a new relationship
others.
now? On the cards? You want it?
Yes. Yeah. I'm addicted to love. I love love. But for me, love has to be a complete acceptance of one another. Not trying to change or expect or judge. Yeah.
I've got hope for you. I've got faith. Maybe one of our listeners is going to reach out. This is going to be the Matt Haycock's dating show. But no, listen, Zelmere, thank you very much for being here, and I will be watching intently next June when you're swimming with the jellyfish.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope we can stay in touch, and I hope that we can follow that crazy race too.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.